Hi there, my name is Charlotte, and today I'm going to do a podcast about teaching and writing. In particular, I'm going to talk about how being a teacher could help you to write better, and vice versa, how you could write better through teaching. If you've not heard of any of my podcasts before, my name is Charlotte, and I work as a primary school teacher in London. I also worked at a nursery school before, but I'm working in a primary school with a year two class at the moment. So, this podcast is one that I've thought about myself. Growing up, I used to spend a lot of time in the library reading all kinds of books. And I used to read so much at school that my mum told me the story about how I used to read books to her every night. And the next day, I would go into school excitedly tell the teacher that, oh, I'd finished reading this book. Can I get another one? And the teacher really couldn't quite believe that I'd finished reading a book in one night. So my mum had to tell the teacher that I had really just read this book that was like 50 pages long. And she was the one who had to sit on the couch and listen to her daughter for 5 minutes before she fell fast asleep. And then she'd be woken up by said daughter a few minutes later to just ask, Mom, what does this word mean? So I'm just going to touch on a little bit about how to teach writing. So when you're teaching others how to write, you should always just check if they've got some basic vocabulary in the language that they want to write in. If you're not a native speaker, of course, this is hard, especially learners. The first thing you do is learn words of any new language. People who learn English as a second language need to have some basic vocabulary and some words that they can put together or string together to make a basic sentence. Through teaching, you can show them how to create these simple sentences. And this means that they need to learn the type of words that they can use. Most of the words that we use are nouns. And so the first type of word of any language that we learn are nouns. And this can be the name of people, name of objects, and places, of course. So people's names are the most commonly used noun. And then the objects that you see around you, like chair, cup, table, and then finally, the places to help you to figure out where you live, where you're going, destinations, things like that. So you can have names like Anna, Sam, Claire for people, objects, like I said, cat, chair, dog, pen, places, United Kingdom, Australia, Brazil, London, and so on, wherever you live. Then the next type of word that you learn are adjectives. And the adjectives are helping to describe the nouns. And you can use them to say what color things are. For example, I've got a black pen, blue eyes, green hair. Then you can move on to sizing. You say, this is a tiny blue pen. This is long green hair. And I've got small blue eyes, for example. And the adjectives help you to basically paint a picture of the things that you see. And it helps you to explain things a little bit better to other people. And then the third kind of word that you use are verbs. This is to explain what's happening to a person, what's happening, what a person is doing. For example, a person is running or swimming or dancing. And yeah, they're the doing words of the language. So they really do help you to see what's going on, what person doing, what's an animal doing, what's happening. So you get an idea of what's going on. After a person has learned these types of words and they build up some vocabulary, then they can just work to put them correctly in the right order. They can put them in different ways. Now, with English, the sentences may not always sound like English at all. They could have a sentence like this: girl runs home. Perfectly okay sentence. It's very basic. You know that a girl, runs home. She's doing it now. She's running and she's going home. So you already know, you have that image in your mind. But the sentence doesn't have all the added words to make a full English sentence. But it is something that you can understand, and that's why it's just a basic. When we teach the children, especially children who have English as a second language, there is a tool that we use to support them, especially when they have to create sentences with their words. And one of the tools that we use is called a colourful semantics. And this is when the different types of words are given a color, and then the words are put in the specific order to help the child or the person, whoever, create a sentence. So, for example, noun words are given the color orange, verb words are given the color yellow, and then objects or place are given the color green. Then they give you a word map to show where the colored words go in the sentence, and you put them in the correct order. English sentences are created by putting the words with subject first, then the verb, and then the object. So this means that a noun at the beginning, the verb, and then another noun at the end. So the example that I gave earlier on, the noun is girl, verb is runs, and then the last noun is home, runs home. And that's basic. The next part to add to the sentence to make it sound more native and more British and more English is to add the article words. So you've got the, a, an, and you combine them with the noun to form a small noun phrase. And then it makes the sentence just sound a little bit more English, let's say. So we'll go back to the sentence and we add the at the beginning. The girl runs home. So you can hear it already sounds a little bit more native. It's a little bit more English, shall we say. If you're not a native English speaker, then you add the particle or the article at the beginning of the sentence and you know it's the girl. Yeah. Or you can say a girl runs home. So how could teaching help you to get better at writing? Here you ask. So once you've got this basic knowledge of how to write and form sentences, then you can just start to improve your writing little by little and bit by bit. You can learn how to create bigger noun phrases that include adverbs and prepositions, and then create much longer complex sentences. Even now, as I'm speaking, I'm creating and forming new ways to combine different words to create a sentence for you to hear. So, for example, we can have some adverbs. Adverbs describe how a person or a thing is doing something. So you can say run slowly. It's the adverb. So you know they're not running that fast. Runs quickly. So the girl runs home quickly, or the girl quickly runs home. The girl runs home slowly. The girl slowly runs home. And adverbs are quite funny like that. You can put them in different places in the sentence. Prepositions are the where kind of words. So you can say in, the pen is in the pot. Out, the pen is out of the pot. Under, the pot. Over, the pen, or on top, sorry, the pen is on top of the pot. You can also say beside the pot. So prepositions just give you a little bit more information as to where an object is. As time goes by, you begin to build up your vocabulary. You learn more words, especially in the language that you're learning. You learn better words as well that can mean the same thing. And for teaching children as well, this is quite a useful tool because you can say to them, oh, why are we using the same word small all the time? What else can we say? What other word can we use instead of small? And they might say, oh, you can say tiny, you can say mini, you can say petite if they know the word. Then you replace that word in the sentence. So instead of the small girl runs home, you can say the tiny girl runs home or the petite girl runs home. And again, this helps you picture the girl and now you're thinking about the size of her. She's a small girl, she's a petite girl, she's mini, small, tiny. And it's just wonderful words, really. And then you can add the adverb. The small girl runs home quickly. The petite girl quickly runs home. And there you go. You've got even a bigger picture and you've made your sentence slightly longer and you've just added more information. Then you can change the place where the word goes as well. So as long as it follows the rules. So you can't say, let's see, the petite home runs girl quickly. First of all, that immediately makes no sense to me. And any other native listeners, you're probably thinking, okay, yeah, that makes no sense. So you've got to have the subject, that the subject has to be something that can do the verb. So the girl can run. You can change the girl to another noun. It has to be a living creature. So the cat runs home. The petite cat runs home quickly. And there you go. You've just changed your sentence by changing one or two words. And you've just changed the whole meaning of that sentence. So instead of a girl now, you picture a little tiny cat. And you can picture the color as well in your head and the size. I haven't even said the color. I just said a petite cat runs home quickly. And then you've already got an image in your mind already of a cat, and you know the color, and you just know it's running. And it's small. So the second part of the podcast was to look at how could writing help you be a better teacher. So if you're a native speaker of English or any language that you're fluent in and it's your native language, you're already a good speaker and you already have good writing skills. The way that teachers work through this is that they use their skills and their knowledge to teach others what they know. And this could go well or it could not. It depends on your teacher and you and the person. This is the tricky part. Teachers can sometimes get disrespected by others. I'm sure some of you may have heard the phrase, well, if you can't do something, then teach. So I don't know, sometimes it feels like a bit of a diss. You're just disrespecting the other person and saying, yeah, because you couldn't do it in real life, you couldn't be a writer for real, so you go and teach others how to write. But it's not always true. So let me give you an example. Let's say that you are the number one chef, in a bakery shop. You know how to bake. You're the best person at making baked goods. Everyone loves your food. They always come to make sure that they get the best food from you. You are the best baker. You make the best cakes, bake the best pancakes, bake the best chocolate cakes and stuff. And, all the good stuff. And anyone who's learning to be a chef wants to be your student. They want to learn from you. They want to know, how do you make these goods, these baked goods so well? And how can you teach them? So you take them on board and you show them how to make the dough. You weigh the ingredients out. You lay them on the table, ready to go. You mix them. You knead the dough. You create a cake. And you say to your student, okay, do the same thing. They turn to you. They look at you with this confused face and they say, but how? You just do all of that. So the thing in this situation is that the teacher didn't explain the process step by step. This is because you know how to make that cake so innately. It comes as easy to you as breathing. So you don't need to give step-by-step instructions to yourself. And so you forget that you need to give it to the student. So you forget to give it to them. You just show them what you do. And you do everything and then you say, off you go. So anyone would be like a bit lost at the beginning when they're trying to learn how to do something. Any good teacher would then take the time to figure out how they can explain themselves in a way that's clear to others and how that explanation can then help the other person to get started, basically. Give them a baseline, like I did with the sentence, girl runs home. That's a basic sentence, it's a baseline. Then I explained how you can add extra words to it to make it better. But this is, again, just one part of being a good teacher. I mean, sure, you can be the best at your job. You can be the best baker. You can give clear instructions. You can give clear explanations. But the student still does not understand. This is quite a frustrating part for us teachers. We've explained it 5 times. We've explained it till we're blue in the face. We've given clear instructions. Loads of kids are getting it, except that 1 or 2 who just sit there and say, I don't know what to do. So this means that you need to stop, rethink what you're doing again. You have to think of another way to explain yourself. Think of another way of getting the student to learn the process that you know so well. So maybe the method that you're doing is not for them. They just can't get that method. I think the best example of this is a maths question. You've got a typical thing. Mum and dad are showing the children how to do a method to add the numbers up together. They go to school. The teacher shows them another way. Oh, but miss, my mum showed me this way. Okay. So, different methods, but you still get the same results. So you have to then work around that and support the child and allow them to do the other method, but then also show them the other way. Because other children don't know their method. Other children don't have that mum and dad who says, okay, add the numbers like this. Yeah. You have to give them, say, 2 or 3 different ways of adding the numbers. You can add the numbers using drawings, add the numbers using the column method, and then add the numbers by adding in tens or fives. There you go, 3 different ways to add numbers up. And one of the ways is going to help, say, 30% of the student. So that's only 1/3 of the class. Then the other 2/3 still, or 33%, sorry. So the other 2/3 are then stuck because they don't know that method. They can't use that method. They don't understand it. They didn't get it. It doesn't work for them. So they could be adding with the numbers. They have to draw out their sticks, their tens. They have to draw out their ones. That helps them. So that's the 2/3. And then you've got 1/3 left who have to do something else. They can count in tens, they can count in 20s, or maybe they use a column method. So you've got all 3 different methods. But if you don't give them those methods to begin with, then you're stuck, basically, and they're stuck. And you carry on telling them, no, it's this way, it's forever this way, we don't need to change. And then the child just goes through life thinking, I'm an idiot because I couldn't get this method, or I couldn't add the way that my teacher was showing me how to add. Which then, it's not their fault. It was something that you didn't think about, something that you didn't know that you had to help them with, basically. So with writing, moving on, it's very similar. It's the same thing. We provide the students with the basic tools that they need to create simple sentences. Once the student has that simple sentence, then we can show them how to make it longer, how to make it more interesting, and how to make it better, essentially. And then they get to a stage where they can string lots of different words together, string lots of different sentences together. They can create a story, and then they can go and be authors and write their own books. They can write poetry. They can go and write their autobiographies, write their whatever they want to write, basically. So at the beginning of this podcast, the questions that I was trying to answer was, how does being a teacher help you write better? And how can writing help you be a better teacher? So essentially, authors write sentences because they want to describe something. They write sentences to explain, and they want to inform and tell the reader what they want to say. As a teacher, you help others to learn how to write, then you show them how to improve their writing. And then after that, it's really up to them to write things their own way, develop their own voice and their own writing style. Teaching, I think, I found really interesting. It's an interesting way as well to become a better writer yourself. You learn the basics all over again, and you realize that, oh, I know how to put these words into a sentence. It's your native language. You're fluent in it. You didn't have to think too hard about it. It's something that's so natural to you now that you're older. You forgot that you didn't actually know how to do it when you were a child and a baby. When you're working with children, you see how quickly they pick up the language. They do it so quickly and so easily. As an adult, when you try to learn a new language, you struggle. You find it hard. It's kind of one of the hardest things to do. And you have to be taught by someone else who already knows how to do it innately. And you have to go back to the beginning, start learning slowly, words bit by bit, learn the grammar, learn the way to put the words together. Then you can move on. There's no way to rush the process. And it really shouldn't be something that is rushed anyway, because you're learning a language. And if you want to learn it well, you take your time, make sure you've understood how the language works, and then you can properly ingrain it into your brain. As a teacher, you reteaching your own native language to someone else. You also realize things and you understand language rules, and you begin to understand a little bit more how and why students can get things wrong. And then you learn how to avoid the pitfalls yourself, especially when you start writing your own sentences, because you can see the pitfalls, you can see the problems, and you can avoid them. And well, if that doesn't help you, then I don't know what else will. As a teacher, I mean, you could essentially become a writer. It's one of the things that we do. You are editing work all the time, even if you don't think you are. When you read the children's work, when you read the students' work, you say, oh, you could have done this to make it better. You're editing their work. You are reworking their sentence. And then you can do your own. Write your own story, write your own book, short stories, long stories, whatever you want. And then you just go through it and say, oh, okay, I can edit this. Oh, okay, I can change this word to this word. Oh, I can make this more interesting by doing this, that, and the other. So it essentially is beneficial in both ways. Well, that's all from me. So I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. If you do have any comments, leave them down below. I'll be making some more podcasts soon, so please look out for them. Thank you very much for listening and have a great day. Goodbye.